To understand the rise of short form video content, we have amongst us Mr. Varun Saxena, founder and CEO of Bolo India, the fastest growing platform for short video content in India. Sir loves empowering content creators to transform their social capital to financial independence. He believes that the distance between you and everything you want is only one communication away. His focus on vernacularization as the tool for new age market penetration is an exciting and intriguing parallel of communication. As you listen to his story, you will notice the power in your own voice and your own content. Let's welcome Mr. Varun Saxena. The stage is all yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Nandini. Thank you for this. Hi everyone, and once again, apologies for keeping all of you waiting. Great. I was told to talk about the rise of short videos in this particular session. But before I start off, just wanted to understand from all of you out here, how many of you have used any other video application apart from Instagram? How many of you have ever watched a video or ever created a video on TikTok? Let's say, anyone? Can I just get an idea that how many of you have used TikTok? No one?
So we have, but I think they're just shy to admit.
No, you can tell me, you can tell that you have used TikTok, and there so there used to be a lot of stigma around oh, this person uses TikTok. I am an Instagrammer, but this person uses TikTok. But if we all are studying about media and communications at a reputed institute like SIMC, and we are interested in, say, the field of advertising, communication, or we want to know more about the video space, the content marketing space, where most of you might be building your career going ahead. It's very important to understand that why TikTok was like TikTok, and why Instagram was like Instagram, and why any other Indian application which is coming up, they would need to create a different space for themselves, and not just try to be a pixel to pixel copy of TikTok, or a pixel to pixel copy of Instagram in order to succeed. So if you would see, how any of the content platforms work is, so for example, if I say take Instagram, where we all proudly say that, we are on Instagram, and so what's there in Instagram for you, so as a user, if you are just using Instagram for say posting your photographs or posting your stories, uh, that's a very, very small part of what actually Instagram is being built for. Instagram at the end of the day is being built for those influencers who today are using Instagram for earning purposes, for being able to monetize their social base on Instagram, right? But why is it so different that we feel that Instagram is so sophisticated, polished, but when I talk about TikTok, everyone was like, videos are such raw, they are not refined. Even if I'll create an account on TikTok, but I'll create it in some other name. I will never tell my friends that I'm on TikTok. I'll go and watch videos over there. But that's not the case with Instagram, right? So what's the reason? If you would see any person today who is, say, creating videos on Instagram as an influencer, and most of these influencers today are very, very aspirational as well for us. All of you must have heard about Kusha Kapila. So how many of you have heard about Kusha Kapila? Again, no one wants to tell. So if you talk about, say, influencers at Instagram, right? How do they actually earn? Instagram doesn't go and do any content payouts or does any regular monthly payouts to any of their creators, right? So these creators, they earn majorly on a platform like Instagram. All these influencers, they majorly earn through brand partnerships, where they partner with brands to launch their products, to increase the audience base of brands, and maybe to help them boost their sales. So if you talk about such an influencer on Instagram, what is he doing? What is he ultimately bringing to the table through his videos? This particular person, if I say that I'm an Instagram influencer, I am being followed by a lot of strangers as well. People who are not in my personal network, they also follow me. So if I have to convince these people to buy something which I am telling them to download, an application which I am asking them to download, to buy a Louis Vuitton, if I am asking them to buy a Louis Vuitton, or if I am asking them that no, Lace is better than Uncle Chips and no, they should rely on my Instagram video. What that means as a creator for me, as a person who is creating content for me, that means I should have the ability to convince a person through my credibility, through my a way of speaking, through my conviction in which I bring out in my video. And for all this, you need a lot of sophistication, you need a lot of polishing on your video. And that is where the kind of content which goes on Instagram is highly polished, highly sophisticated, because these people who are building a career out of Instagram influencing, these are going to earn only when you go to a brand after being convinced by them. This is something which acts as a core reason for the kind of content you see on Instagram. Now simultaneously, if I what TikTok used to do, TikTok was primarily paying content creators, not through just these brand partnerships, but TikTok has something like a creator fund, where a lot of creators, they were getting goodies, they were getting small payments, like say 3,000 per month, 5,000 per month, and so on. And in some cases they were getting around 10, 15, 20,000 rupees. And these payments, they were happening on the basis of, say, the number of views which people were getting on their videos. Now, or say the number of followers which a particular creator has on TikTok. Now, how is this different from Instagram? While on Instagram, what I was going to earn through a brand was entirely through my ability to convince someone to go for a brand after watching my video. On TikTok, I am going to earn when someone watches my video. I don't care what kind of action that person takes after my video, but what I want is this person should watch my channel. They should bring in more views for my videos, they should bring more virality for my videos, and they should start following me, because I was majorly paid on the basis of followership and viewership. What this means as a creator? This means as a creator that I should create videos which are more watchable, which are more enjoyable. So my purpose as a content creator on TikTok becomes to create watchable and enjoyable videos. My purpose on Instagram becomes to create convincing videos with strong conviction. And that's where my content had to be a lot more polished. Now, I cannot create an enjoyable and watchable content by being highly polished all the time. And that is where a lot of content which went on TikTok was very, very raw. People saw a normal person like you and me becoming a star on TikTok. That's where more and more people connected. We talked in the local languages. You will see a lot of Bhojpuri videos on TikTok. You will see a lot of Hindi videos on TikTok, where the concept was not very, very sophisticated, but talking about little things, maybe couple goals, maybe relationship related videos, maybe some very, very random comic stuff which we do as a banter among our friends, or just say lip syncing and dancing, right? That is the kind of stuff which was going on TikTok. And this was the core reason, the purpose of a content creator to be on TikTok for creating that kind of a content was different from Instagram. That's one base reason which, if we tomorrow want to get into content marketing, we need to understand that before we talk about all the things of taking a story of a brand to the customer, being customer centric, it becomes more important for us, first of all, that we understand that which platform is meant for what purpose. And accordingly, we as a manager, we go and distribute our efforts, distribute our strategy on different platforms accordingly. That's something which we should start off thinking. And when you will be participating in a lot of case studies during your journey at your B school, in your case studies, now gone are the days when we bring in the typical Kotler stuff, or we bring in the traditional marketing stuff that, we'll do a research, we'll conduct a primary research, we'll conduct a secondary research, then we'll probably go for some distribution on TV, some distribution on newspaper, radio, etc. Those channels are obsolete today. Today, by 2021, if I have to just share some numbers, it's predicted that in India, in a country like India, with the kind of smartphone penetration and with all the geo boom which has come up, we will have Indians spending around 100 minutes daily just watching videos on their smartphones. That's where we are moving towards. Most of the people today who are joining the bandwagon of internet, and they are coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities especially, they don't know what is Google. For them, Google is YouTube. They will not do Google like you or me. They will use YouTube as Google. For them there is nothing like Facebook. For them, everything starts off on social media through WhatsApp is the new channel for them to use as social media. YouTube is the new Google for them. They typically may not be using Instagram as well as much as they may be using, say TikTok before it got banned. So these people are moving towards a different direction. They don't want to in fact, most of them, they don't have TVs at their home. They'll probably use an app to watch some TV content on their mobile phone itself. You would see that a lot of these people, they were highly engaged on YouTube to watch movies and to watch songs. They were not switching on to any radio or to TV for the same purpose. Those people can't go and take a 500 rupee popcorn and sit out at PVR to watch a movie. But they will go and watch this content on their mobile phone. So we all are moving in a phase where the most of the population is going to be only on mobile, is going to consume content primarily on mobile. And that is where, going forward, as marketing managers, as people who are looking to come up with the spend of brands on advertising, on communication channels, making different video platforms the part of your core strategy will be very important for any of the brands in future. Now, while that is one, another point is in terms of numbers, where we talk about that, okay, it's all good that people are going to spend 100 minutes per day on watching videos, but tell me how many people are going to watch those videos. And if they are going to watch videos, then what kind of videos are they going to watch? Which brings me to the fact that by 2021, we'll have almost 50 million users who will be using internet through geo and consuming content only on smartphones. 50 million people spending 100 minutes per day is what is the scale of audience, and the level of audience engagement is what we are looking at in next couple of years. And with that, it also brings me to the fact that if today we go and talk to brands who have been, say, the part of certain content marketing on say YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, they'll say that they got 4x to 5x more return through the content marketing on the video platforms vis-a-vis, say, running their ads on traditional channels like television, radio, newspaper, etc. So while newspaper, television, etc., they used to act as a very strong mode of brand recall till some time back, as we are moving forward, brands see more return by being present on different video applications, which may not be entirely professionally generated content, but mostly the user generated content platforms. And that brings me to the fact that it's not just the rise of short video platforms is what we should talk about. We should talk about the rise of UGC as well when we talk about content creation on any social media. Where another thing, which makes a normal person like you or me have the power to become a star. And that is where we all as humans want to be. And this is the reason that why there has been a strong surge in the number of video applications, and not just in the number, in the engagement which some of these platforms are able to create. And just to probably share some numbers about us, if I talk about Bolo India today, we have almost 2.7 million people who are creating videos on Bolo India on a monthly basis. These people, they come and create at least 5 videos in a month. So if I talk about 2.7 million people creating videos in a month, and they creating at least 5 videos in a month, you could see that we, at this scale, when today we are a brand which is, say, not known to every house, we are still to get there. But at this scale, where my overall user base is around 6.5 million, if I am getting around 10 to 12 million videos per month, and users watching these videos, in a way where they end up watching 35 to 40 videos per day. So on an average, a user watches 35 to 40 videos per day on Bolo India. So with that kind of an engagement, if I go and talk content marketing to a brand, what it's not just going to be about telling the brand's story through our platform to the audience, but it's going to be telling the brand as a platform that what should the brand be telling to the audience, to their target group, right? And that's what all of you who are planning to get into the field of media communications, advertising, becomes a lot more important. Because no more is storytelling just about communicating what the brand wants to tell to the users. Today when we say that as a marketer, we need to be a storyteller, that storyteller today should have the ability to tell to the brand that this is what your audience wants to hear. Now you tell me what you want to tell. I will amalgamate it with what people want to hear, and I will come up with a perfect story for you. That's what today, as a marketer, as a person from media and communications, as a person from advertising world, or as a person who is analyzing business, needs to do. I should be able to tell my customers what they want to hear, and just sync it up with the organizations or the brand's goal. Today storytelling is not just a one way thing, and that's where a lot of brands, they are collaborating with a lot of influencers on even smaller platforms. So it's today, if you will go and talk to, say, someone like Pepsi may not be spending their entire influencer spend only on Instagram. Pepsi is spending a good amount of money on a platform like, say, TikTok, or in next couple of months, especially during this Diwali time, with the gap, with the vacuum which is created due to the the geopolitical situation which we have in the country right now. The kind of situation which is there, the vacuum which is there, a lot of Indian applications are getting a lot of attention from the brands, especially because brands do not, or say, cannot have their brand strategy today to get into a festive season, or to get into a season where we are talking about after Diwali we'll have Christmas, we'll have New Year, and after all this is slump because of long lockdown, brands have to encash this time, and they cannot just do it with a TV ad or a newspaper ad. That's where, and with absence of some of the Chinese applications, they are moving towards the Indian short video applications, so that they can connect with the audience, because brand has to be where their TG is. Now if people, and that is the reason, no, you would have seen that during IPL, which has just started off, this time IPL is ruled by startups. No more you would see corporates ruling the IPL arena. No, you talk about IPL sponsorships, starting from your title sponsorship for IPL, going towards your official partners, going towards the maximum number of ads which you today see on Hotstar application during your over breaks at the IPL time. You will see startups ruling out there. Reason being, startups have captured this essence. Startups have also captured this kind of phenomenon of the audience preference much faster, because somehow startups are said to be slightly more close, slightly closer to the audience as compared to the bigger brands. Bigger brands, they need to they end up moving slightly slow. But that's the reason today we see lot many startups moving to the IPL, and that is the core reason. Everyone wants to be where their audience is. The IPL spend, if just forget the TV spend. If I even just talk about the Hotstar application spend, it's like humongous. And apart from Apple, which is the only brand that has been able to match the kind of spend which startups are doing during this IPL, it's like phenomenal. And it tells us that you will see a lot of ads which are coming even during this period on say IPL, or what the brands are talking about through influencers. No one just comes and talks about the brand today. And that is the reason people are going to influencers, because these influencers, they understand what their follower base is all about, what their preferences are, and they can tweak the story of your brand accordingly. Very, very important. Today, if I have to go as Bolo India and I have to come to say SIMC to with the intention of acquiring say thousand users, I cannot just come and talk about what is Bolo India, how is Bolo India going to add value, etc., etc. Mostly, if I'm addressing 1,000 people, 900 will just not even hear me, and out of those 100, hardly say 1 or 2 will end up being my user. But if I come to SIMC, and if I talk about that, how you need a short video application like Bolo India to help you achieve your personal and professional goals, then the number of say users I could acquire from SIMC could be way higher. The point is, every story which I go out and tell to anyone has to be my users centric. It cannot be brand centric. It has to be user centric. And this thing was very early realized by the platform like ByteDance. They were able to give that kind of instant social gratification to the users. They were able to create that kind of AI and ML algorithms which are required to create high level of personalization, recommendation, and keep the users hooked. Now, and I keep on saying these things about ByteDance because unlike some of our peers, we were not just born out of anti-China sentiments since June. We were there even when TikTok was there, and we are a 17-month-old company. We were there. What we realized was it's very important for you to identify and say create a differentiator for yourself, even when someone say like as big as TikTok or YouTube is out there. So today, if someone comes and asks me that, I don't know who is your competitor, I don't name some of our peers, but I say that my competitor is YouTube, my competitor is TikTok, not because we are doing the same thing, but all of us are fighting for those 100 minutes which you are going to spend on phone. If I have to fight for those 100 minutes, anyone who can potentially take any pie of those 100 minutes is my possible competitor, and a person who has a higher chance of taking that is my bigger competitor. So if I ask mostly if I ask all of you would say that you will probably go and watch certain videos on YouTube, you'll watch say certain videos on TikTok. Some of you may say that you will end up watching some video stories of certain celebrities on Instagram. But even when it comes to videos, Instagram is way behind. Even with the feature of reels, if you would see, most of with the ban of TikTok, Instagram ended up launching reels. But reels, just like when Facebook tried to copy stories from Snapchat, I'm pretty sure most of you would know that the reason stories was brought everywhere, and before Facebook acquired Instagram, they wanted to replicate the stories of Snapchat. They failed drastically. And this is one thing which has been the typical characteristic of Facebook, where they first try to copy something which goes viral among the youth. Once they fail to copy, they try to acquire, and then they try to bring that feature almost everywhere. So while Snapchat did not show interest when Facebook went to them to acquire them, then later on they went ahead with Instagram, and Instagram's core proposition was photographs. It was all about images. It's now that when the trend is changing, they are moving towards videos. But still today, Reels as a feature is just being seen as an added distribution channel by content creators, by people who create content, by brands. But it's not seen as something which is going to be used by influencers big time. So when I say influencers big time, if someone comes and tell me that Instagram Reels is going to replace by say TikTok videos, that's something which is not going to happen. And that is where when a lot of platforms, so you will be aware that when we talk about content on any social media space, we give a lot of sharing options. You give a WhatsApp share, you give a Telegram share, you give multiple shares, and that's where people have started to integrate Reels share also. Because just to push Reels, I'm not sure how many of you have noticed, if you go and post a same video normal in your feed of Instagram, as your story on Instagram, and as a Reels, your reel is going to get the maximum reach, then your story is going to get the reach, then the post on your feed is going to get the reach. And the reason Instagram is doing this is because they want to promote that particular feature. And and as a marketer, I should be aware of all these things. So while Reels is getting an organic push by Instagram in terms of reach, it because it does not end up being the competitor of any short video application. Every short video application today is integrating Reel as the sharing option for their content to leverage it as a distribution channel. That's where a lot of short video applications are playing smart. And that is the reason that Reels as a feature has not been able to come out as the alternative to TikTok, or as a new short video no, thing available to the users. It continues to be a lot of Indian applications. I'm pretty sure you must have heard about 7 to 8 Indian applications which have especially popped up over last 2 to 3 months, in addition to us and one of our competitor applications, which are there since more than 2 years now. So the point is, when we talk about content marketing, when we talk about short videos platform, what we need to remember is there has to be a flavor of content, there has to be a flavor of creators. As a brand, as a marketer, I need to understand those flavors. I need to understand those nitty-gritties about every platform before I could come up with my strategy to distribute my spend on any of these platforms, and before I make my marketing plan, or my advertising plan, or even where do I want to manage my brand in a better way. I need to analyze all these things up, accordingly. That's something which is there. Specifically talking a bit more about content marketing, right? If you see, content marketing has changed over last few years. Today it's not that if I just bring a top celebrity in my in my video and give a certain message, everyone is going to trust my brand. And a very uh, no recent example with which say quite a few of you could relate is say the Baiju ads, or say the White Hat Junior ads. I'm pretty sure a lot of you must have seen the criticism which White Hat Junior ads are getting all through. The criticism which a lot of Baiju ads are also getting these days across. So while these companies have been acting as a very good revenue generating avenues through their sales team, in terms of brand management, in terms of hitting that emotion with the audience, they have somehow failed. And that is where a lot of people on LinkedIn, they continuously go and talk about that how these ads are acting negatively for them. Vis-a-vis, if I'm not sure how many of you have seen, if you see that a lot of brands today, they are preferring those small influencers who I have seen brands going for Bhojpuri influencers, brands going for Gujarati influencers, brands going for Haryanvi influencers, where they want just a specific set of these influencers talk to their follower base to tell that how the user could derive value if he's connected with my brand. And while these people are going there, even if it comes to selecting a celebrity, you need to first realize as a content marketer that what do you want to communicate and who are you communicating to. What, and not sure, has anyone over here seen the ad of Cred during IPL? Right, Sangraj. So that's the thing, right? So how many of you have seen Cred ad? You have seen? What's happening in Cred's ad? Will anyone tell me what is happening? What is the dialogue which comes in Cred ad?
Just download cred at the end. Mostly it's just like celebrities auditioning, and then at the end there's like a jingle that says download cred. Right? And not everyone gets it is the tagline.
Yeah. And
Okay.
It basically says, let's just do a simple voiceover instead of having these celebrities who are just extremely over the top acting, and that. So let's just keep it simple.
And who is taking the audition? Who is taking the audition of those celebrities in those ads? Celebrities are giving audition in that ads. In those ads, if you would see, celebrities are not just coming and saying you to download the app. They are giving an audition. That's how it comes. Who are they giving audition to?
I think they are the directors of the ad itself, because in like one of the directors of the ad actually put it up that he was acting in it.
Right. So what they have done is they have brought in the faces of common people to sit as judge for that audition. Celebrity is giving the audition. And before I get to the fact that why are they doing this, can you tell me who is the target audience of Cred?
The young audience, the younger people who've been using credit cards. Is that it?
Yeah, India's 5 crore credit card user population.
They are targeting the high net worth individuals, the highly influential people in terms of their income groups, people who earn very well. They are doing very well in terms of their earnings. They are paying their credit card bills on time. They are creating a community of those top 1 to 2% people of India who can earn well, who pay their credit cards on bill, have good spending power, and they are rewarding them with different rewards on Cred application, if you would have seen. Now the reason they brought in Bappi Lahiri, they brought in Madhuri Dixit, they brought in Anil Kapoor in those ads was not to connect with an audience of 18 to 24. They wanted to connect with the premium class, and most of the people who today are in premium class and are having very very good wealth and a strong this thing spending power. These people are in the age group of say 30 to 45, 30 to 50. Cred never targets a 18 to 24 audience. They always target people who are in 30 plus, almost 40, 45 as well. And the reason, and that's why they brought in Anil Kapoor, they brought in Madhuri Dixit, they brought in Bappi Lahiri, because those are the people probably, a person who is in say 30, 35, 40, 45 age group can connect a lot more as compared to say someone from 18 to 24. That connects me, that brings my attention to the ad. I could see that a normal person gets a reward of sitting as a judge in the audition of these celebrities, and these celebrities, and then they talk about just one thing, that download the Cred app, right? So that's what they are doing. They are connecting with their audience, the celebrity selection, as well as the prime focus of their ad, where after the celebrity, it is the ad typically ends, apart from the Madhuri Dixit ad, every ad ends at the common person who is sitting as the judge. So they let you communicate that, boss, download the Cred app, use it, you get the rewards, and this could be one of the rewards. And those are the kind of brands they are partnering with when it comes to their rewards. So that's where Cred ad has clicked. So many of you say remember the Cred ad, and that is where they have been getting a lot of praise, because that is nothing but again the content marketing, where they are bringing out the gist of the brand, that you get rewards which help you lead a even more aspirational life, and what more could be aspirational than you getting to sit in the audition of a celebrity you love, right? So that's where that is. They did not bring Deepika Padukone, they did not bring Ranveer Singh, because they know that a person who is a bigger fan of Ranveer Singh or a bigger fan of Deepika Padukone is today not that well to do in financially, but a person today who is a fan of those older generation of celebrities is much more well to do, and is much more better person, much better person to be on their platform as their target audience. Because today you may see that Cred is making loss, but tomorrow Cred has a model where they will have top 2% people of the country on their platform who are doing well financially. If I have top 2% financially well doing people of any country on my platform as a business, there are multiple things which I could do. There are multiple things which I can trigger on the platform using these top 2% people wealth wise. And that is what Cred is building. That's where their ads have been able to do these many wonders with the audience. I see someone has asked the question that in the recent months we have seen a lot of new apps, Chingari, Takatak, ApnaTalk, etc. Do these new platforms serve as new tool for content creators or create congestion for? Okay, now see, when TikTok got banned, right? All these creators they were missing a home. That's a lot of Indian applications started to come, but and a lot of Indian applications they got a lot of downloads also. These creators they went on all the applications. They did not just register for one. They went for all the applications. They wanted to explore all the applications, not just for creator tools. Creator tools is not a problem. If you would see, even today YouTube does not provide you tools to create videos beyond a point. YouTube is not a video editing platform. YouTube is a video repository. Similarly, apart from TikTok, when these people they went on all the other Indian applications, they were not looking out for creation tools. They were looking out for the platform where they can post their created videos and get the audience and engage with the audience just like they were doing on TikTok. And that is where they started to explore all the applications. So the prime reason for the creators to be on all the applications almost was to explore and see where they can get the same virality, where they can get the same engagement, and later on which platform can they leverage for their brand partnerships, because brands were with these influencers, but the platform was missing today. And that's where they went on the hunt. And another part of this question is adding on to that, how do marketers and creators choose which platform to follow? As I said, uh, the creators choose platform basis where they will get the audience, they will get the engagement, they will get the followership, they will get the visibility. And if they are getting that, the brands will continue their partnerships with these influencers. In terms of brands, if I just talk about say brands, then today brand has to go and say partner with someone like Bolo India or Takatak or Chingari or anyone. They are going to see that on which platform they are not looking for impressions, because impressions is a very obsolete metric in terms of the video space today. They're seeing that where can I get the maximum attention of the users in terms of the engagement. So today when brands talk to any short video application, they don't talk in terms of that, boss, what are your cost per impression or what is your just cost per view. For view also they will try to analyze the quality of the view in terms of that, if my ad is of 20 seconds and if it is say unskippable, will a user spend 20 seconds watching my ad on this platform? And if I have to partner with this platform, do I have the right set of possibility of amplifying my visibility? And amplifying does not happen just by posting a video, but amplification will happen when the users are going to share that video, when the influencers are going to talk about that. So when influencer looks out for a platform, he's looking out for a different thing. When a brand looks out for a platform, brand would look out for a different thing. Brand will first look out for the user engagement, then the potential of virality using influencers, and third, the credibility of influencers on the platform. These three are the things which brand will look out for. As just a creator, I would just see that, can I go viral on this platform? This is majorly because with the absence of TikTok, this proposition is missing for the creators. Now, when TikTok was there, and trust me, TikTok is going to be back. It's just a matter of time that when is TikTok back. When TikTok is back, any Indian application which was just giving this proposition of social virality to the creators is not going to survive. What is then going to survive is, as you and me, you all are you all are spending good amount of money as an investment to go through this MBA cycle, and at the end of the day, you all want a well-doing life. You all want to earn. Similarly, these creators who are coming from tier 2, tier 3, they don't just want being famous. They also want to earn money, because that at the end of the day is what we all of us need. So creators, they also look out for the brands which help them monetize their content. And when I talk about monetization of the content, they look at multiple aspects. First is definitely the brand partnerships, that if I get a certain virality on the platform, will I be able to get brand partnerships? That's one. But with brand partnerships comes an upper cap on what a creator can earn. Now, creators today don't want to limit their earnings. If I ask you that what's the maximum package you want to ever earn in your life, you will not put a number to it. You will say that as much as I can reach to. You will not say that I'm happy just earning say 1 CR per year. I'm not happy with that. So I'll not put a cap on that. Similarly, creators, they don't want to put a cap on that. They are looking out for those platforms, and that's where luckily we have been able to add that kind of a value. So I'll tell you what we do at Bolo India. We have brought in a concept of peer-to-peer commerce. Peer-to-peer commerce, what it does is, as a creator, once you have established a social base, a social capital on the platform, which is on the lines of what you used to do on TikTok, then you open up the avenue of delivering your expertise area through a private video chat room on the application itself, for which your follower base, your fans, they are going to pay you. And that is where you can earn entirely with no upper cap through B2C transactions, which are majorly happening with your peers on the platform. That is why it is termed as peer-to-peer commerce. So today, if you talk to a person who is coming from tier 2, tier 3, he doesn't want to go to a job, because he doesn't want to he doesn't want to get into a job. He wants to be following his passion and be able to earn through that passion, and be able to earn unlimited through that passion, right? And that's where content creators find a differentiator, if you let them earn and with something on the lines of peer-to-peer commerce or social commerce, rather than limiting them to brand partnerships. How much differentiation or how much of differentiation by marketers is possible considering the number of evolving content consumption platforms? Differentiation is, Rajeshwar, so difference is in terms of the flavor of content. Every platform is having a different kind of a flavor. So for example, if I talk about us, and if I talk about a short video application named Trill, we both are primarily into infotainment. So when I say infotainment, we majorly talk about that every content piece which a person is going to see is going to derive a certain value out of it, but not in a boring way, in an entertaining way. And that's what we call as infotainment. But say if you talk about TikTok, you talk about Chingari, you talk about Mitra, etc. These people are purely on the lines of entertainment. So every platform has a flavor. If I talk about say YouTube, YouTube is a broad spectrum where primarily today people go to watch movies or go to watch full-fledged video songs. They don't want to come and watch snackable videos on YouTube. And that's where every platform has its own flavor. Brands and influencers, they decide on these platforms based on the content flavor also. And that is where you will not see every creator of Chingari being present on Trail or being present on Bolo India, or being or say every creator of Bolo India present on TikTok, because most of our creators, especially if I talk about Bolo India, most of our creators, they were either active on us and YouTube, or us, YouTube, and a hashtag of EduTalk within TikTok. So hashtag EduTalk within TikTok was an infotainment hashtag. But these creators will not go and create video on Mitro because that's an entertainment platform. So a person today who, depending upon how he wants to earn, will decide which platform to be on, and that platform he will decide on the basis of flavor of content, because flavor of content, remember, drives the audience to the platform. So if I am an astrologer, I cannot go and create an entertaining video on Mitro. So as an astrologer, I will never prefer to be on Mitro or Chingari. If I am, say, a dancer, probably I'll prefer to be on Chingari, Mitro as well. But say if I'm someone who is, say, talking about finance, even if I'm talking about finance through short videos, I will not post those videos on Chingari and Mitro, but I'll post them on say Bolo India or Trell, because that's where my audience is. So it has to be dependent on multiple factors with the core focus on the flavor of content.
So we'll make it more interactive and ask the students to read out the questions to you. So Yash, would you like to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Good morning, sir. So my question is really short. So I would like to know if these short video platforms, you guys pay royalties to music record labels. If yes, then how does it function? And if no, can you give us like a brief understanding?
Right. So you have to license their content. So it's so see there are two ways in which the music labels they work. One way is in which they work with, say, a platform like Gaana or say JioSaavn, who are streaming their videos, and they are charging the users based on subscription. Second model is where they work with a content platform, say like TikTok or us at Bolo India. So that's where they will work on a different way. When it comes to, say, JioSaavn, Gaana, they will take a fixed fee, plus they will take a revenue share on the streaming revenue which Gaana or JioSaavn generate. But when it comes to, say, a platform like us, they are going to charge a lump sum amount, which is their licensing fee, where we will get unlimited rights to provide those audio content or that music content to our users. Plus, we also get into a deal with them where we partner with music labels to open up their official handles on our platforms, and we help them to promote their upcoming songs. So typical size in which, say, a label would say collaborate with a platform will be proportional to the market share which it has. So for example, T-Series today has, say, 40% share in the music industry. So what T-Series is going to charge you is going to be, say, 2 to 3 times more than what, say, Z Music or Shimaru or say Saregama is going to charge you. So there is no set rule. The way they charge you the license fee is proportional to their market share, and you have to go by it. So for example, if today I am paying, say, 1 crore to T-Series for a year licensing, I may be paying, say, just 50 lakh to Saregama and, say, 20 lakh to Shimaru, while I may be taking same number of songs from all of them. So that's how the royalty thing works with music labels. I hope I could answer you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great. So I guess there is a question by Arnab.
Yes, sir. Arnab, would you ask the question?
Yes. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Arnab.
Hi. So my question is, like short video platforms like TikTok have received a lot of flack for trash content, right? So how can these platforms and all the other platforms which are coming up, for instance, Bolo India and all of that, how can they address this issue and create more credibility for themselves in terms of attracting brands for promotional activities and influencer collaboration? Like, how can they gain the trust key? No, our platform is something and where you can trust us that the content will reach the right audience, filtered in a filtered manner rather than trash content pushing through.
Right. So see, when it comes to trash content, right now, a lot of things depend on the platform. So for example, we have been interviewing a lot of people from ByteDance over last couple of months to join our team. What we have seen is there was a lot of content, say, on a couple of applications which ByteDance used to own, where they will not allow the content moderators to remove a certain content, especially if it was, say anti-India. They'll not let you remove. If you post any anti-China content, they will immediately remove it. and they will not say remove some kind of those videos which have a high possibility of going viral, but they are say conveying the wrong message. So for example, if there comes up a video where you are playing with an animal in a wrong way, but you know, it has a potential to go viral, there the instructions were coming from the Chinese counterparts. So for example, if you would talk to anyone in ByteDance, you will realize that while the entire content and the marketing team was sitting in India, every decision was being taken by the Chinese counterparts. There could be a possibility that a 10 to 12-year experienced old person sitting in India leading the Indian marketing, but reporting to a Chinese person sitting in Beijing with 3 to 4 years of experience. When it comes to applications like us, how we take care of the trash content is you come up with a tiered structure for quality test for removing the trash content. So the first check happens at the time of posting of content, where any porn content would get removed. Then you move to the tier 1 of quality check, where you have developed your AI and ML algorithms to identify certain keywords in the content which would mark the content as a trash content, and it will come for internal review. The second tier happens when you give the right to the community also to report a certain content. Now when you give the right to the community, it may not always mean that, you know, whatever content gets reported, you delete it. Reason being, suppose I post a certain content, say I post a content, something which is against say the construction of a temple. Now this and not necessarily that video is entirely misleading. That video may be correct, just showcasing a view, but still it may drew a lot of flack from a certain set of audience because of the sentiments. So what you do is you can restrict the visibility of the video. It's not necessarily that, you know, you remove the video. You can restrict the visibility of the video depending upon sentiments, as well as you can entirely remove it when a community member reports it. Fourth, when some video say is able to survive through all these 3 tiers, you have your internal manual moderation team to review the videos and to remove remove them if they don't meet your content guidelines. So this is how you take care of the trashy content. And as a platform, this is something which is very, very platform specific. Every platform will have different hypotheses on what content to keep, what content not to keep. Great. So I guess Sukrit says, if TikTok comes back to India, do you believe that still have the ability to surpass? Okay, so Sukrit, if TikTok comes back, as I said earlier, it will definitely come back. I never say that if. I always say that it's just a matter of time. When TikTok is going to be back, those Indian applications which were pixel to pixel copy will lose 80 to 90% of their users. Those Indian applications which were able to create a parallel value for the users during this time, they are going to continue to grow strong. However, the return journey for TikTok is not going to be a cakewalk like it was for the first time. This time, TikTok will have to work harder. Reason being, most of their top creators have been taken by other Indian applications. Plus, most of their Indian leadership team is also already being hired by some of the other Indian applications. So they will have to rework on the team. They will have to rework on the influencers. They will spend extensively on positive branding once they are back. So it's not going to be the easy journey for them. They cannot just start from where they left. They'll almost be starting from zero once they are back.
There's another question from Bhanu. Sukrit, I hope your question is answered.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
And then there's Bhanu. Bhanu, would you like to unmute and ask?
Yeah, hello, sir. Thank you for the talk. Sir, my question is that, like for example, now there's talk going around that Instagram has changed its algorithm once again, and like it's notorious for limited.
Getting cut.
Hello.
Yeah, Bhanu. Yeah, please, Bhanu.
Yeah. So, in an environment where it is said that these applications curtail the reach of accounts unless they pay, how does it not demotivate small creators who want to become big?
Correct. You have hit it at the right spot, and this is the reason TikTok became viral. TikTok let any normal person reach out to a wider audience and become popular. That is where TikTok, a lot of small creators, they flocked onto TikTok, and they did not stay at Instagram. Just not Instagram. Talk about YouTube. YouTube's
Yeah.
monetization policies are such that till the time you cross a certain number of subscribers and a certain number of views, you cannot monetize your content on YouTube. And that is where monetization became a strong proposition for platforms like us to capture creators. And the reason you put up there for Instagram is the reason people started to move away from Instagram. What Instagram did was, and in fact, today they don't even show to the 10% of your followers. Just your stories go to 10%, your feed goes to even less than 10% today, and that too only to your follower base. That's where TikTok came in as a differentiator for small creators. It created a magic for them when it said that I'll distribute your content to almost good 60 to 70% people of who are using my application in a day. If that particular user is from your category, and once your video starts getting shared, I will increase your visibility further, which could even reach out to almost my entire daily active user base who is coming from your genre of content. So that is the exact and precise reason where Instagram missed out at the small creators, and that is what continues to be the case even today.
Sure, but with the goal of profit making foremost in the minds of companies, is it safe to assume that ultimately every such organization will eventually lead to where Instagram is today?
I'll say no, because see, that is what you need to understand. If I do the same thing which Instagram is doing, I will also lose the creators. The Instagram lost creators because of this. My motive as a brand, as a platform, is not to just keep my creators who are there with me today. If you ask us at Bolo India, we are targeting people in the age group of 18 to 24, and because that's where the new social platform takes birth, and you have to make them the stars. If you have to make a star, I'll just not bring a top influencer from TikTok and make him a star at Bolo India, then there is no point. But if I make a small creator and a star, then that's where I would get the popularity as a platform. So every platform has to evolve a different way of visibility and find out a way to profitability. And that's where we as a platform, for us, peer-to-peer commerce is our core revenue model. We look at making profitability through peer-to-peer commerce. For that, it is not required at all for me to block the visibility of you as a creator. In fact, I would like to enhance your visibility to almost my entire user base to be able to leverage the peer-to-peer commerce revenue which I can generate through you as a creator. So that's where the core models define that whether you need to restrict the visibility or not. The reason Facebook, Instagram do it, it's not just Instagram, even Facebook does this. And I'm not sure if you would have realized, 4 years back, whatever organic reach you used to get on your Facebook page post, today you get just 10 to 20% of that organically on Facebook page post. And the reason is Facebook, Instagram, they work on advertising as the core revenue. They are not working on influencer earnings as the core revenue. What TikTok did, what we are doing, we are making the earnings of the creators the part of our revenue model. That's something which Facebook, Instagram does not do. For them, advertising is the revenue. So they want more and more people to advertise. That's where they reduce your reach. They reduce your organic reach. But for us, the more organic reach you get, the more money you can generate as a creator. The more money you generate as a creator, more money I generate as a platform. So that's where the models are different.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you, sir.
So there's another question from our director. So Ruchi ma'am, would you like to ask a question?
Yeah, hi. Thank you, Varun, for this very, very insightful talk. I just wanted to ask you that how much are the political parties trying to reach out platforms like yours to, further content, to amplify their content? And it can be very tricky, when you moderate or filter content. Like you said, you had 3 levels of filters, and sometimes the content can be deeply ideological, propagandistic, and your situation can be very tough in terms of moderating it. So how much is this bothering in terms of the operations of the platform? Yeah.
Right. So see, political parties, they definitely want to be the part of platforms like ours. And if TikTok was there, probably today TikTok was the new platform where Indian elections would have been fought.
Yeah, in fact, just before, sorry to come in, just before TikTok was banned in India, I think a couple of months before that, BJP started their TikTok channel, and that had just started, and then it was banned. So hence this question.
Right. So that's these are the new age platforms. So if you ask me where 2024 elections will be fought, it would be the short video applications. If TikTok was there, probably even the upcoming Bihar elections were fought on it. Unfortunately, it's not there, and the Indian applications are slightly younger. So Bihar elections cannot be seen on these applications. But in the next general elections, you'll probably seen on these applications. It becomes very tricky. Definitely, you need to ensure that you are not being, as a platform, you are not being biased towards any of the parties. As a platform, as the core team, you may have your own ideologies, but when it comes to the platform, you are going by a standard rule book. You are going by standard set of operations to moderate the content. And as I said, at times, the content could be strongly ideological, as you rightly said. In that respect, say, instead of removing that content, because if you remove that content, you will get into, say, unnecessarily the bad books of any particular party, which you don't want to get into. So what you do is you can restrict the visibility of the content. So for example, if I say put a very, very right-wing ideology content, I already know from the behavior of the users, and that's where it's very important for us to capture regular data points. You keep on capturing the regular data points. You know that there is a set of audience which does not like extreme right ideological views. Similarly, there could be an audience which does not like extreme left. So you can restrict the visibility. So what content I may let to be visible, say in the northern part, I may not let's say show that content with the same kind of the reach when, say, it comes to West Bengal, or it comes to Kerala, or it comes to the southern parts of the country. So I may tweak the visibility of the content accordingly. Plus, what becomes more important is you partner with some of the agencies which help you with the fact check. Fact check is a very important thing, because the moment you open up your platforms for political parties, the misleading, the WhatsApp fact check is not what you require. You require actual fact checks. So that's where you need to partner with fact check agencies which are there. So as a platform, we have a partnership with BBC as of today. We are on continuous striking of partnerships with multiple such agencies which help you in the fact check. That's another thing. In addition to political parties, there is a lot of opportunity available in partnering with a lot of organizations which are working in government capacity or in a public capacity. So for example, we have partnered with Uttarakhand Tourism Development. We are in talks of finalizing our partnership with Women Ministry for women related issues, right? So there are a lot of good things also which you could do within the government and within these bodies to ensure that the right messaging is going out. But yes, the election time is always going to be tricky, where you need to strongly develop your algorithms to take care of that. Plus ensure that if you are not removing the content, you are at least restricting the visibility based on sentiments. That's very, very important. At the end of the day, the last thing you want is your platform to promote a content which could incite people. So it's very important for you to address that. But it's a double-edged sword, definitely.
So there's another question from our faculty, Ashwini sir. So would you like to ask a question now?
Yeah,
Ashwini?
hello. Yes. Hello. So my question is an extension of the previous question by Ruchi ma'am. So how do you control for fake news and nudity? So you have answered that you have a partnership with agency, but don't you think that you need to have some algorithms, and do you have those kind of algorithms which can check nudity and fake news on your platform?
So believe nudity is the easiest thing to check. So for nudity, you get a lot of APIs already provided by Google and Amazon, which you can very easily integrate and not let those videos go on the application. These APIs, they generally come up with 70 to 80% accuracy. So 70 to 80% of the content which, say, gets tried to be published on the platform, we don't let it get published itself. So it gets removed before getting published. Now 20% content which survives is it goes to our manual moderation team, as well as the community can report the content, and as soon as the content is reported, it could be removed from the platform. On the nudity front, on the fake news front, again, more, while we keep on developing our MI and ML and AI algorithms, it takes a lot of time to develop them. What you do primarily before that is you make community the part of it. So for example, if a fake news around a particular region is out there, you have the geographic location of the users with you, and if for that content, you can first say for first couple of hours, the visibility of that content is more in that particular region's users only. Now that provides the opportunity to the users to report the content if it is fake, because no one will know my locality's fake or real content better than me. Once it gets reported, you could take a relevant action, and then you later on distribute it to the wider audience on the platform. So you make community also the part of helping you identify, say, the fake news or just the inciting news. So that's what we do. And whatever input you get out of this, you keep on making your ML algorithms intelligent day by day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So we have Nilesh, sir, a faculty mentor. Would you please like to ask a question, sir?
Right.
Yeah. Hi, Varun. First and foremost, thank you so much for a very candid interaction. It's really appreciable. So my question is about, maybe Varun as an entrepreneur. It's about entrepreneurship with you, because I could make out that you started when TikTok was around. So this very thought of taking on this Goliath called as TikTok, how did it come to your mind? And besides that, of course, the second question is, if I understand well, Bolo India is primarily based on the model of services marketplace, or popularly known as passion economy, right? So do you foresee that, passion economy, I mean, for academic discussions and even for industry trends, it's certainly a hot topic. But do you see it will last as long as gig economy?
Right. So I'll take that. So Bolo India is my second venture. So after pursuing my MBA from NITI, I worked with Wipro as a client partner for manufacturing clients for a couple of years. And then in 2014, I got into startup journey. My first startup was into MBA preparation space, and that's where all these B schools, are very, very close to me. So I ran a platform called Career Enough for MBA test preparation for good 4 years. It was towards 2018 end that we started to see a different kind of an engagement on some of the GK content which we were providing to the users, and that's where and most of this GK content which we were earlier providing was only in English, but later on we started to provide in Hindi and Tamil as well. What we saw was the kind of engagement which we were getting on Hindi and Tamil GK videos, despite the fact that GK in all the MBA exams comes in English. The engagement was very high. We went to these users and we started to talk to them. What we saw was the moment we were providing content in Hindi and Tamil, they were not seeing it as just an academic content, but they were seeing it as a content where they can express their views on a trending topic. That's where we got into analyzing this space more of language content. So as a platform, as a team, we typically don't call it vernacular content. The reason is, the moment I call it vernacular content, I'm trying to put the English speaking people at a higher level, and then the vernacular comes at a lower level. So we typically call it the regional language content. So we started to talk to people more. What we saw was that while there were a lot of social media platforms like TikTok, etc., who were providing instant social gratification to the users, still there was a lot of dirt on the platform side to provide the ability to the creators to monetize their content. That's where we decided that we will address this problem. And if we can address this problem of content creators of monetizing the content, we will be able to scale up on the consumer side also exponentially. Because what you see, it creates a web. As a creator, if I know that I'm going to earn well on your platform, it means that I'm going to create high quality content for your platform, which reduces my cost of content acquisition. And today, cost of content acquisition is one of the biggest costs which any platform has to bear. So if you can remove that cost, And because of that high quality content and creating certain network effects among the consumers, you can easily ramp up your consumer side. So that was the pain point. That was the area we started to focus on. And as you rightly said, we finally launched Bolo India in May 2019. And at that time, TikTok was growing strong. And with this proposition, we started to bag in a lot of creators. Our first set of content creators, they came from YouTube, who were having say 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, creating highly engaging content, but no monetization. Our creators came from TikTok, who were creating non-entertainment content, and hence they could not get viral and hence could not get brand partnerships on TikTok, because TikTok had a flavor where entertainment content used to get viral a lot more than say putting up a product review or putting up a technology or putting up a finance content. So we started to get in those creators. We started to create value for them. And that's where we started to grow at 20-25% month on month, even when TikTok was there. And definitely post TikTok ban, there was a strong surge, right? That's one thing. Coming to the passion economy, a word which is very close to my heart. In fact, we have just got into a partnership with IIM Ahmedabad to explore, and we have got into a research work with them where we are exploring different ways for monetization for content creators beyond brand partnerships. And that's where we believe as a team that passion economy is the next big wave. It is already seeing a huge surge in US. If I talk about India, people have already started to move away from gigs to passion. So when we talk about gigs, you are again dependent a lot on the platform, which people don't want to. And that's where the beauty of passion economy comes in. You are not dependent on the platform to get you business. You are dependent on yourself to create that kind of the baits which are going to get you business. So for me, if you ask me, we as a team are betting on this fact, and any investor also who has been joining us in our journey, they are also betting on this fact that by 2022 we'll see an exponential rise in passion economy. And as a platform, any platform which would have crossed the critical mass by then would see a huge virality in 2022. So that's what we are building towards. And we believe that by then passion economy would have surpassed gig economy. That's where it would not be a subject of just academic talk, but it would be a big business talk as well.
Wonderful, Varun. Thank you so much, and best wishes for your venture. I mean, may you keep getting more subscribers as well as better VC funding. You already have a lot.
Thank you.
So we have a last question from a faculty member, Pushkar sir. So would you please like to ask a question? Pushkar sir, are you here?
Yeah, Varun, hi. This is Pushkar. Very good topic, because I've been discussing differentiation with students, and this is where you have really hit. My question is, as you start growing at Bolo India, you will start looking at other options than what your core competence is today, right? So the content that is there in Instagram or something like this, and in the process, you lose your differentiation. So how are you going to plan to avoid this dilemma when you start thinking of growth?
Right. So see, that's where it's very important to make your differentiator the part of your business model. Our differentiator is content as of today is not the prime focus. Our differentiator is a business model. How we are different. So for example, if I say talk about Facebook, Instagram, they are social media platforms, as we call them. To be able to get nurtured on these platforms, you need to have a lot of people from your friend circle who have to be the part of these platforms. Then comes the second category of platforms, which are media networks and not typical social media. In media network, TikTok was the leader, which will programmatically distribute your content to everyone. People got virality, etc. What we are building is not a media network as well. Since we are working and strongly building towards the passion economy thing, we would translate into a consumer internet platform and not a social media platform or a media network platform. And this consumer internet platform would actually come up at the top of the funnel where if you would say double click, you will find a unique use case for you on a daily basis to use the platform. So for example, one day, say as a person, you are interested in 4 or 5 areas. You like astrology, you like travel, you like fitness. You come on the application on a daily basis to watch the videos on these areas, and then apparently one day you discover a service of an astrologer whom you trust, and you have a personalized astrology advice requirement, and you pay this astrologer and get the advice. That's a differentiator for us. And because you as a platform, we are able to give you as a customer to the astrologer, and that happens only to those astrologers who are highly engaged with their follower base. Astrologer will continue to create high quality astrology content. So even at the scale, I will never lose out at the content as a differentiator, because I am creating a vicious cycle where I am adding that monetization aspect, which is the core business model for me. I am continue to building on it, and that's where my creators will continue to create high quality content. Vis-a-vis, if I was just a social media platform, there at scale, I will lose my content as a differentiator thing. But again, the flavor of content gets and become unique to the platform. Today, no other platform can come and replicate Instagram's flavor. No platform can come and replicate TikTok's flavor. If you replicate, you will be gone in almost a few months. It's not a short-term stint. You start a company, you have to get into a marathon mode, and that's where we will stand differentiated even at scale. Or say TikTok will remain stay differentiated at scale. Today we see a lot of platforms with similar content, but let TikTok come back, and these platforms will die down because they don't have a differentiator. Even today, differentiator has to be the part of your business model, and content differentiation will be the outcome which will come because of your core differentiator. So you never just create content as a differentiator, you create business model as a differentiator. Content differentiation comes as the outcome of it.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, we could not take any more of your questions. Sir, would you be okay with if we sent you a few questions that you could answer to us later on?
Sure. I guess I'll just take one. This Amber has asked that why the spelling of India like this. A very basic thing I studied in my brand management elective at NITI. If I would have kept it as INDIA, no one would have noticed it, right? So to get the eyeballs, you make these slight tweaks in your spellings so that people get the eyeballs, you get the attention. And if I would have kept it India, you would not be asking me this question. So at least my brand name is getting your eyeballs, getting your attention.
Thank you, sir. As we approach the end of the event, I'd like to thank all those who helped make this event a huge success. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Mr. Varun Saxena for setting aside his precious time to not only help us understand the rise of short-form video content, but also for guiding us through implementing it and using it effectively. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. We're glad you could be a part of this. The comfort and ease of what this virtual platform provides us with would not have been possible without the constant help, hard work, and support of the IT team. I'd like to thank the IT department on behalf of everyone for assisting us with all the technical aspects. Last but not the least, I'd like to thank all of you for helping us make this event a huge success. For without your cooperation and presence, this would not have been possible. Before we conclude today, I kindly request all of you to turn on your video cameras for a group photo session. Are we good?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Arun,
Thank you all.
It was indeed a very honest session, very candid, directly coming from somebody who's an entrepreneur, that too in the content and platform space. Couldn't have gotten better. And I think it must have been very, very inspiring for a lot of these younger people who are always buzzing with ideas. And thank you for just saying what is required to be said with a no holds barred approach. Very grateful, and I hope we can connect with you and can have like a more continuous association with you in the times to come.
Definitely. Yes, IMC is one brand where in my previous startup we have sent a lot of students to. Happy to stay connected and take this association forward.
No. I think on behalf of every student, every faculty colleague here, while you were talking, my faculty group on WhatsApp was buzzing with how great the talk was. So I think we all have been enriched alike. So very grateful. Thanks again. And all the best for like a lot of success that young people like you are driving in the way you are telling new stories. So best wishes and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Hope you have an amazing time. Have a nice
Thank
day.
you. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you soon at sharp at 2 o'clock for our next talk. Thank you.